There's been a lot of buzz about US President Donald Trump wanting his face added to Mount Rushmore, the famous mountain sculpture in South Dakota that features four American presidents: George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. These leaders were chosen to represent the birth, growth, development, and preservation of the United States. Now, the massive monument carved into the granite mountain was finished in 1941 and has become one of America's most iconic landmarks. Trump, never shy about his ambitions, has openly said that he'd love to be added as the fifth face on this legendary mountain. In fact, back in 2020, he even posted a photo of himself standing in front of Mount Rushmore, almost as if imagining his face carved beside the greats. He once told Kristi Noem, who's now, by the way, Homeland Security Secretary, about this particular wish, and she even gave him a souvenir showing Mount Rushmore with his face on. Now, fast forwarded to 2025, a Republican congresswoman from Florida, whose name is Anna Luna, actually introduced a bill asking for Trump's face to be carved into Mount Rushmore, calling him a bold and historic leader. And in a very surprising twist, a US Interior Secretary, Doug Burgum, told Trump's daughter-in-law in an interview that there is definitely a room for Trump's face on the mountain. But here's the big question: can this really happen? So let's break it down. First of all, what exactly is this Mount Rushmore? So, Mount Rushmore isn't just any mountain, it's a national monument. Carved by sculptor Gudjon Borglum, it was designed to honor presidents who shaped the nation. Washington symbolizes the founding of the country, Jefferson represents expansion, Roosevelt stands for development, and Lincoln reflects unity during the Civil War. The sculpture took 14 years to build, from 1927 to 1941, and over 400 workers helped carve it. Today, more than 2 million people visit it each year. So, why can't Trump be added? Here's where it gets really tricky. The National Park Service, which takes care of Mount Rushmore, has said that the sculpture is a complete work of art, meaning that they consider it finished. They have also said that there is no solid rock left for another carving. That's right, the rock is cracked in many areas, and carving another face could actually cause damage to the entire monument. In fact, experts agree. One geologist said that trying to carve Trump's face could weaken the mountain even more and make it unsafe. In fact, during the original construction too, workers had to restart Jefferson's face because of the crack in the stone. And that's why Jefferson looks like he has a hole in his lip today. And even if somebody tried to add a pre-carved statue or image onto the mountain, it wouldn't work. Because if the stone is too weak to carve, it's also too weak to support extra weight. Now, what about the legal and political issues? Let me tell you, even if the rock was perfect, there is still the law. Since Mount Rushmore is a protected national site, any change would require congressional approval. Trump would also have to face likely lawsuits for Native American tribes, environmental groups, and historians. Mount Rushmore is carved into land sacred to one particular tribe, and many indigenous groups already oppose its existence. Even the sculpture's own granddaughter is against changing the sculpture. She said that Mount Rushmore is meant to represent the ideals of America, not just any one man's legacy. Plus, many people feel that adding Trump could lead to political fights, vandalism, or protests, given how polarizing he is. In fact, one critic joked about it online. He said that if this happens, somebody would try to blow up the whole mountain. The last question: what's the alternative? Now, since Mount Rushmore is basically off the table, Trump has talked about building something new: a national garden of American heroes. This would be a giant sculpture garden filled with statues of 250 important Americans. It could be a space to celebrate history in a very different way, and maybe even include a statue of Trump himself. So, can Trump get his face on Mount Rushmore? Almost likely no. Not only is the mountain too fragile, but the legal and public backlash could actually make it very much big. Still, the idea lives on, at least in Trump's imagination and among some of his supporters.